laying this out and really summarizing what happened today. What I want to pull back in, though, is exactly this point. The 14th Amendment has plain language. There is a friend of the court brief that was submitted by legal experts on the Constitution, law professor, that said, look, the plain language of the Constitution says, A, that this is how it works. The state decides whether to allocate its electors, just like the attorney said, who was defending the Colorado decision. And it is the 15th Amendment of the Constitution. These are Civil War amendments designed to prevent exactly this. And does so explicitly by saying that it doesn't require an act of Congress, and that states that the action that you can take is after the election if a state has not sufficiently allocated its electors. I'm only saying that because it does go back to this textualist point that Lisa is making, is that this is the thing. When it is voting rights, guess what happens? The Supreme Court ignores the text of the Constitution, even though these amendments, the 14th Amendment, was designed to protect the count of votes that voters make. It's to protect the right to vote, and it was designed to do it to ensure that an insurrection doesn't happen. And let's back up one more step, because in this situation, what we are hearing debated, and I absolutely agree with Susan Glazer, like it is normal, is that Jefferson Davis, who was the president of the Confederacy sitting in Richmond, could serve as president of the United States because he didn't fight, didn't bear an arm during the Civil War. That is outrageous. But this is what happens. We see a reluctance of the court in many instances.
The court at large.
The court at large, the federal bench, in many instances, to actually apply the provisions of the Civil War amendments as they were intended and as is made explicit. And the same thing goes for Congress. When Congress says, we're going to do a broad sweeping bill following the 14th Amendment of the Constitution and say, you can't undermine, you can't have a result that discriminates against people of color at the ballot. And then this Supreme Court says, oh yeah, the Congress, yeah, no, we're gonna say that you can't, you gotta go back and do that again. So Congress does not have the power to do what it is told to do to protect voters. But suddenly when it's this case, it's very uncomfortable doing what the 14th Amendment clearly says.
It's more alarming when you create that parallelism. There was some